Black History Month signifies a celebration of all activists, celebrities, abolitionists, Black Lives Matter protesters, and much more. The month of February is attributed to the celebration of achievements by all Black people. This month sheds only a small light on all Black people and African Americans have and continue to do to break barriers throughout United States history.
Black History Month is, as the generations grow, I think it becomes more important every year because even though we're, not to say we're far removed from like 1960 or 1970, it wasn't like those years were far away. I think it's important that our generation to come recognize, the sacrifices that Martin Luther King Jr. made, Malcolm X made, Maya Angelou, those sacrifices and those impacts that they made. I think as we progress on, as I get older, we should make sure that it's celebrated on a continuous basis and just brought up in history books, more so in history classes than it is now.
This year's Black History Month is important because it brings awareness and it educates people that are interested in learning about our history and culture and how to move forward and bringing equality for everyone, including Black people.
I think it's really important because you have to remember that Black people are constantly reminded that they're viewed as less than with police brutality and being paid less and not getting jobs that they're qualified for. And so it's important to realize that everyone deserves to be treated equally in all aspects and to continue to fight for that as a community and as just a population.
I think that, to me, Black History Month is a time of recognition and awareness of Black historical figures, Black history in general that has happened. And as a white woman, it is an important time to become knowledgeable and to become more aware of Black history and what they have gone through, but also to recognize the determination and leadership that has happened in the past.
One athlete that has inspired me is Colin Kaepernick. This man decided that his career, a career that only 1.2% of college-level players are able to achieve, meant nothing if he wasn't able to use that platform to speak out against racial and social injustices in the world. And that in itself has encouraged me to never remain quiet about issues that matter.
So my kind of inspiration comes from Serena Williams. To me, she's just changed the game of tennis completely. Before her, I think tennis used to be like a little, not a dainty sport, but there wasn't a whole lot of power behind it when women played. And she just brought the same force that men brought to the sport, but brought it to the women's side. And on top of that, she's dealt with, obviously racism, stereotypes, but also things in her own life like pregnancy and stuff like that. And she's just continued to outshine her competition in every way possible. And I think that's something that, the generations in the future can look at and use for inspiration as well.
For me, just being an athlete, two that inspire me were Curtis Granderson and Colin Kaepernick, and stuff they did both for their respective sports and outside of that and social justice causes. Curtis Granderson, he really helped grow the game for the Black community and was a stable figure. And I think a lot of people know what Colin Kaepernick was able to do with his kneeling and protesting, what he brought attention to, and it's still a problem today in this country.
You know what, thought about this question. It's everyone who was the first. I wish we can get to a point to where it's never going to be, this was the first African-American man or this was the first African-American woman, but if you think about it, the historical impact that they were the first ones because of the scrutiny that they had to go through, the ostracization or the hatred or the pain they had to go through because their families were suffering from those transitions. You think about it, Barack Obama was the first president, Black African-American president, the United States of America. Just think about what that means, for a country that had to endure, 400 years of slavery or 400 years of oppression, 400 years of, injustice, Jim Crow laws, to have a Black man as the president. And then now you have, in 2021, Kamala Harris, she's the first Black VP, and she's a woman at that. And then, just thinking about, Jackie Robinson Jr., just think about the impact that the first African-American male or African-American woman made. And being that, February 7th, is this Sunday, we have the Super Bowl, Doug Williams, he was the first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl. Just thinking about that. And now you look at in the Super Bowl, we're going to have, a lot of the African-American coaches, in major key roles as a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, on both sides of the ball.
Well, as being one of 2 black women on the rowing team, it's really important to me that my friends understand my views and what I go through on a daily basis. And I think it's really easy to forget that we are different from everyone. So just continuing to educate them, and if I hear something that makes me feel uncomfortable, speaking up so that microaggressions are decreased, and so that I feel like I have a voice and that I have teammates in a community here at Rhode Island that supports me.
This is actually something that I have been working on because I come from a predominantly white town, and I am white and my family is white. And I went to the Black Student Athlete Summit, and through that there was a talk about talking about whiteness rather than blackness, and saying what we can do as white people to help in allyship. And they pretty much said that with allyship, it's a hard thing because you have to stand up to people that you might love or people that you are constantly around. You might have to stand up to family. So for me, and as my position as an athlete, but also as an activist, I want to be able to stand up, but I also need to be able to educate myself and be okay with educating other people as well, despite what they might say.
So for this Black History Month, I plan on putting together presentations on microaggressions and also our social media appearance, because as we've seen just this past year, there's been plenty of social media microaggressions, I want to say, people using the N-word, people saying comments that they might not have realized what it meant at the time, but have since dealt with the consequences. And I think, we live and we learn every single day, and there's no fault if you don't know everything yet. I don't know everything yet. Obviously, you don't know everything yet, so we just got to keep educating ourselves. So I plan on putting together presentations, working with my classmates, working with obviously the faculty, putting together presentations for the student athlete body about just microaggressions and what we post on social media and how it kind of portrays who we are as a human, and how people kind of use that as our platform for like judging us based off of our social media.
I think this month is a good time to really help educate people about the impact that Black people had in not only America but around the world, and just that our history is their history as well. Like what our impact had is the same, is what affected them as well. So I think I just really want to get that across to everybody, that Black history is not just for Black folks, but it's for everybody.